Hey everyone, my name's Hannah Olivas. I'm here tonight for our panel, Me Too, but Never Again. I am joined here with some of the authors from the book. Some of the ladies are joining late, so give me a second as I add them in. Let's see here. I think we're good to go, and we're live. All right, so we are going to talk today about a couple of different things regarding the book. Number one, we're still ranking. I know I think it's 5 countries now, over 20 categories, which is really awesome. We're still ranking. So any of you who have heard the buzz, get the book. It really helps get the message out there, and it's really important. It's a sensitive topic, but it's an important one to talk about. So we created some panel discussion questions, and we're just going to take up less than an hour of everyone's time. For those who are watching it from beginning to end, we're going to hard stop today at 45 minutes. So I'm going to give the floor to each of the ladies to introduce themselves, and then we're going to start with the first question, which is, how do women protect themselves from being, sexually molested, abused as an adult woman? So that's the first question, but I'm going to pass it to Nicole, and she can start the introductions.
Well, hello, everybody. As Hannah said, I am Nicole. My last name is Curtis. I'm the hashtag Crazy Chicken Lady, and I wrote in this fantastic, wonderful book with all of these beautiful ladies that are on the screen, as well as a few other ones that couldn't make it tonight. And I'm in Missouri, and the chapter that I wrote is called Helping Women Heal from Child Sexual Abuse. I'm going to pass it to Isabella.
Good evening, everybody. I am Isabel Reese. I am located in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the name of my chapter is I Am Seen and I Am Heard. And I just like to advocate for women and children to speak their truth and to find healing in their traumas. And Frances.
Thanks, Isabel. I'm Frances Helena. I'm based in Brisbane, Australia, and my chapter is called Hiding Pain Does Damage. And to be a part of this is so much more than just wanting you guys to read it, but it's actually about advocating for not only like sexual assault or rape or molestation or trafficking, but I work in the fashion industry. And so we really wanted to highlight some of the issues in the fashion industry that are occurring, especially to do with sexual assault. And over to Maddie. Sorry, Madison.
Hi. No, you're good. Either one is fine. Hi, I'm Madison Tanner Clark. My last name is just Clark. I just like my middle name, so I like for it to be included. My chapter is called Defy Impossible Circumstances, and my chapter is all about childhood sexual abuse and learning how to get excited and overcome for a beautiful future that looks ahead, even though it seems kind of impossible in the moment. So I will bring it back to our moderators.
So, we have somebody joining in. So we talk, in this book, we talk about all different aspects of the trauma. And some of us focus on, what happened, how we're healing, where we are in life. Some of us talk about, understanding and recognizing the signs of a perpetrator, things that we can do, how to advocate. And it's a really hard, I was asking my husband literally before we started this, like, how does a woman truly protect herself? We can't predict when someone is going to attack us, but I feel like there's some signs that occur or things that happen. And so I think my first question is that, and I'm going to ask it to Isabel. What is a way that a woman can protect themselves from being a victim of sexual violence?
So, okay, so this question kind of had me up in the air because to me, as an adult now, I wish somebody would, I'm gonna punch him in the throat, like, I've taken classes, self-defense classes. Like, I wish you would try me, but obviously not everybody wants to do something physically, but so I think, the importance here is to set strong verbal boundaries. That's one of the most important things, I think, as a woman. A lot of times we're taught to be sweet and nice, and, we can't, lash out or speak out, you got to be quiet. No. Like, you set your strong boundaries and be vocal about what is allowed and what isn't allowed, words can be scarier than getting punched in the throat, So definitely setting the strong boundaries, and then just be assertive about it, and teach girls young, just teach them at a young age, teach them consent at a young age. So yeah.
I would say something that stands out to me is number one, if we're educating and explaining what is happening in the world, like if we're actually advocating, if we're having those honest conversations with people in our community, having community awareness events would be one thing that I would think would help, aligning up with organizations that really do help pivot and want to change things like this from happening. Another one is speaking out, like if it's happening, you need to speak out, if even if it's not happening to you, but using your voice and teaching women how to say no, like not to be afraid to say no, and letting men know that when we say no, it's no, that it's no. So I think those are some things that can make a difference. And like also educating our younger girls on where is a safe and unsafe place to be touched by anyone. Because it's not just men who are perpetrators, women can do it too. So having like teaching our younger girls like what is appropriate versus what is inappropriate as well. What do you think, Jamie? You got to unmute.
Well, that's kind of a little bit loaded question for me. I did serve in the military, so I come from a little bit different. I love all the ones that you ended up saying, Hannah. I'm with Isabel. I'm all about throat punching, right? No. I think there's a lot of different things. My daughter is in college, and I know that, with my kids, I'm very transparent, and I know a lot of people that have shared their story with me was because I was vulnerable enough to share mine first, and then they were able to come. And so when they were able to share theirs with me. I think as far as protecting, I think it's really whatever somebody is comfortable with. I think there's martial arts. I believe that, there are tools like mace and different weapons of self-defense, but also we need to train ourselves and be confident, because anything that we have that is a weapon can also be turned against us. So we need to make sure that we know how to utilize and use those things. As far as, younger kids and college students, I love the 360 app. It always shows the location. I also really love that. I am huge on not being alone, like always having a buddy at least with you. But the truth of the matter is that, this happens in places where it is the safest. It happens in churches. It happens in schools. It happens with all age groups, with all genders, and all countries. So it's not really something that we can just kind of pinpoint and say. And some of the people that we think are safe are the ones that people have been violated by as well.
So it's really a question that I don't really know an answer how to do it. I just know that when you're old enough and you can actually make that choice, like for me, I go to the gun range. I'm in America. I also was trained. It's not like, you're 18 and here you go. I mean, there was training and everything that goes along with that. So I don't want that to be misunderstood of everybody just go and get something like that. But that's where my comfort level is. But I also am trained in that area and I keep myself trained. And I think that's the same thing with martial arts, there's a ton of self-defense classes. But the word no and standing by that with those healthy boundaries for me are so solid. And in my story, I wasn't able to fight back. I was literally right out of a car accident. So, and then, Madison, she was a baby, so it's one of those things that I'm just, I'm really would love to hear what the rest of you amazing warriors have to say about it. But that's my take. And I don't know how far that goes as far as opinion, because everything is so individual and unique.
What say you, Nicole?
Well, I definitely have to agree with Isabel and Jamie of, martial arts, concealed carry, understanding your rights and knowing how to protect yourself. But I think one of the biggest ones is giving yourself permission to follow your intuition. So with a lot of these cases, it is in an environment where you would least expect it, in the home, in church, Sunday school, or sports event, or so many different places that it can occur. It can be with, if you're dating or your significant, there's so many different situations, but anytime that you feel alarms or your body is telling you something, if you notice that what actions are being portrayed to you or language that's being portrayed to you, if you're getting nervous or you're anxious or you're sweaty or something's off, that's a sign that there might be something deeper that's going on or could potentially happen. And give yourself permission to listen to that. And then please, please, please speak something to somebody that you can go to, that you trust. And you don't have to get a whole paragraph out. It can really just be, I don't think I'm okay, or I don't think I'm safe, or I think something's wrong. To just start initiating, having that conversation get started. So I think for me, to help protect yourself is listen to your body when you're having conversations, or if something's, happening to you physically, and your body's reacting to it in a negative way.
I agree. Have you all read each other's chapters?
I'm not through the whole book yet.
The reason why I ask is because a chapter that really stuck out to me was Divya. She talks about, what she went through. And there was even a part in the book that we couldn't even publish because of the severity and the consequences. Like, courts were involved. There were things that were filed. And it's really sad that we couldn't share that piece of her chapter. But it stood out to me because even though, having to do with culture, where she's from, how she's raised, all of that in intertwined in her chapter just really stuck out to me. And the bravery that she has shown through and through and through. And so that leads me to my next question. We say me too, but never again warriors. So what does a warrior mean to each one of you? And I'm going to start with Frances on that one.
Oh, thanks, Hannah. I think that's a really great question. I think it's really more than just, I think, coming out, it's really about having that courage to say something, like, even though it can be scary. But I think now that we're all kind of older, like, we know right from wrong, and, that could be like a support for, younger people to really say, especially in, ethnic cultures, we're kind of just taught to just say yes to literally everything and just nod and smile. But, we've never really had that conversation about being sexually assaulted. But I think to be a warrior, it really means to just stand up for what's right. And that if it's right or wrong, but yeah, just to really advocate for what's right.
Yep, I agree 100%. What do you think, Madison?
I talk about this a lot in my chapter, I think. I consider a warrior somebody that is looking past the acts that have happened to them, looking past the trauma. And it's not to say to negate the trauma, to ignore it, to just bury it. It's to say that we are people that will work through it. We want to heal from it, and we want to learn from it. And that doesn't just stand for us, it stands for the other people around us. As Frances was saying, we can be advocates in the sense of we're educating the people around us. I've had so many people, I'm so grateful for this past week of the people who have come up to me and talked to me about all of this. And they just want to know how to be there for other people that have gone through this, and not just myself, but they want to know in case their daughters come up to them one day as a baby, as a child, in case their sons don't know what to do. And it's a really cool process to be able to educate people on, one, listening to people, hearing them out whenever they are feeling these types of ways, and then also just emotionally and mentally being there for them. So I think my answer is a two-parter of just looking towards a bright future and knowing that your perpetrator does not own that and does not have any say over your future or anything over you, and being able to educate and still have so much love and excitement for life, and being able to share that with others, because a warrior isn't somebody that is the last one to go into battle. It's the ones that are screaming and yelling and throwing the knives. And I think like all 10 of us, we are more than able and more than willing to do that. For any one of the other girls, for anyone who's ever been in our shoes before, it's just being able to, just, just be excited, and just look forward to a brighter day whenever the trauma gets worked through.
What about you, Jamie?
I really feel that a warrior is somebody that is not afraid to stand up against, I'm just going to say on this case, the society, the what has always been. We're not scared to be the earthquake to shake the ground to get things started, and nothing great comes from comfort zones. You look at every single movement that has ever happened started with a voice. And yes, we can fight as well, but we're fighting with our voice and we're taking a stand. And just being able to be there for something that is so, I hate using the word controversial. So we love adopting the advocacy of it. But for, all of us that are on this panel, everybody that is alive right now has had oppression to some degree in their generation. And what we're doing is we're breaking the mold. We're not scared to take a stand and say, no, this stops with me. I know for me personally, with the life that I had, the childhood that I had, all the way into now, we have fallen so many times, but we don't stay there. We get back up, and then we get back up again. And it's having that courage and that perseverance, because we're not here people are going to talk about you regardless. So give them something to talk about that means something, right? I'm all about righteous indignation. I'm about justice. And, you know, someone needs to stand up to do that. And that's what warriors do. You know, we are the leaders of the pack that stand with our shields up, and we help protect those behind us and around us. And, you know, it's not, we have scars, but every scar that, you know, that's the growth, that's the battle wound that we came out of, that we wear proudly, at least in an honoring, not that we deserved it, not that we don't ask for this, right? But I believe that things happen for us in a way, not that something like sexual assault obviously is deserving or anything like that, because that nobody, I don't care what the person has done, said, anything, nobody deserves that. But it's to be able to flip that switch to say, you know, this happened, but this isn't, we can still move on from that, and we can heal. And sometimes it's this healing that comes in a process, and there's no time frame on it. You know, there's no one right way to do that either. So, you know, just to be able to have something like this, something, I don't think there's anything more violating and sacred than something of in the way that we have been violated, and to be able to stand and come up. And the sad thing is that 1 in 3 people globally are affected, and we think even more, because that's been reported. For me, I just can't, it still shocks me how this is so secretive in this age, and it affects so many people with social media, with, you know, you can call, I have friends in London, I can call on the WhatsApp right now, you know, just like a telephone call. But yet something like this is still so silented, and it's from all of this programming and patterns that we have been taught. So that was long-winded, but a warrior, you know, no matter what, you get up and you stand for what's right, just like Francis said, and Madison, and you just keep going. And we're not here like, oh, we're so scared of judgment. We're here because we know that this is the right thing to do. And this is part of our purpose, to take a stand for people that can't. And to give them hope that they too have a voice, because anybody, surely, and I will invite them, they can come and reach out to any one of us, and we are that outlet for them as well.
What about you, Isabel? What do you think being a warrior means?
Well, everybody kind of said what I wanted to say, but in the sense of being a warrior, I think that it's not just about being a survivor and then, oh, you know, because I survived this, not my warrior. No, you don't have to go through these things to be a warrior. You know, anybody that is willing, anybody, an adult, even a child, you know, children have voices, and they should be heard. You know, they're a lot smarter than us adults most of the time, honestly. But I think that to be a warrior, you know, you have to advocate. You have to speak up for those that can't speak, you know, and there's a lot of people out there, you know, and there's a lot of people that they've been able to develop the technique to speak up for themselves and be able to advocate for themselves just fine. But there's a lot of them that can't, you know, especially kids, you know. So to me, being a warrior is advocating. It's speaking out. It's getting out there, creating movements, you know, so that, you know, we can eliminate these things, you know. So that's what a warrior is to me, you know. Like I've seen like this post that says like, oh, you know, for my kids, you know, I will burn bridges, you know, I will burn bridges, I will burn cities, I will burn towns for my kids, you know. And so, and the world should feel like that, you know. We need to feel that need to want to speak out for those that can't, even if we don't know somebody or anybody, we know that these things are happening in the world, You see it all over Netflix. You see it all over Facebook. You know, kids being kidnapped, kids being this happening to kids, artists, celebrities doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You know, like that's enough to know that there's a lot going on that people are not talking about. There's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors that people don't talk about. And so that's what a warrior means to me. It's, you know, speaking out, burn the bridges, you know, create safe places for people to come out and tell their story.
Thank you. What about you, Nicole?
Yeah, I think what a lot of what the lady said, pretty much sums it up. But for me, to add a little bit in there is something that I think that what I do every day, to get up every day, to push myself every day, to be a better woman today than I was yesterday in this type of setting, is he may have wrote some chapters, but I'm writing the book. And I have the mindset and the understanding of I will never forget. I may forget, but I may never forget. And that's okay. And being able to not be okay on days, but then also at the same time wanting to speak your truth, advocate, stand up for what's right, do what's right. And I think a lot of being a warrior is going against the norm, doing things that you know you may be looked at differently or talked about or shunned on, or you might lose family, you might lose friends, you might lose, you know, people in your life. People may start disrespecting you, but I think as a warrior, it's really going deep here and knowing who you are and what you stand for and what your morals are and what you believe in, and moving forward in that versus being quiet, shut off, and trying to be like everybody else, or go the way with everybody else and fight. I mean, that's a lot with the book cover. I mean, it's beautiful. It's the lady with the sword. It's the lady with the broken shackles of, you know, it's no longer us being, you know, confined as warriors and having to be a certain way and do a certain thing. You know, we're here, we're taking a stand, we're fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for our families, we're fighting for our communities, we're fighting for organizations, we're fighting for businesses, we're fighting for our next generation, our kids. And we're also fighting for all the women that are all over the world that we don't even know, of speaking our truth and saying, we are here. And as a warrior, we invite you to come along with us, and let's make an army and let's destroy. Meaning in destroying of advocating, educating, helping young girls, helping women know the signs, understand, you know, tones that are used in certain circumstances and all of that. And a warrior is the one that takes that stand, and they're usually the first. They're the first ones that rise, and they're the last ones that lay down. And, you know, that to me, that's what a warrior is. We don't quit fighting.
I think that when I think of a warrior, especially in this instance, I think the first step of being a warrior is admitting to yourself it happened. And really understanding that it wasn't your fault. No matter how many people tell you otherwise, not accepting the blame of the person who stole your innocence. I think that would be the first thing. The second thing is, do people really understand the severity of the long-term causes that being sexually abused causes women? You know, we talk about society being under this attack of mental health issues. And I'm here to tell you, a lot of those mental health issues are caused from abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence. And so this is part of being a warrior, is is exposing ourselves to the world and telling something so deep that and so painful to strangers. I think that's another part of being the warrior. Another part is healing from it, and the healing never ends. You can say that you're completely healed, and I don't know if that will ever happen for me, because there's still triggers that arise. Like, I can't go into a Thai restaurant because of the smell. It reminds me of something. There's certain songs that I can't listen to because it's a trigger. So, and those are long-term effects that this has on a person. And so having to constantly fight back and not revert to going into that anxiousness, that depression, that panic, that fear, but actually realizing and saying to myself, I am safe, I am loved, and I am worthy. Because when a person does what they do, they defile you. That's how I saw it. And I felt like my innocence was stolen. I felt so dark and alone, and having to always be in that survive mode requires you to be a fighter. You are a fighter. If you're surviving, it's because you're fighting. And so I think that having to admit that we as the victim have to seek help. That's part of being a warrior, addressing the long-term issues that come with it. And then speaking out, doing what we're doing now. I actually had someone ask me, well, what's the difference between Me Too But Never Again and the Me Too movement? And the difference is, one thing that sticks out to me over and over is the Me Too movement is an incredible movement. But it was when it was like based off of celebrities coming forward. That's what the transition was, is the people with the bigger names. And then it was like, oh, well, we want to hear about this because this person has fame, this person has fortune, so they're more important. We're the Me Too But Never Again, the everyday woman who walks, who works, who lives, who raises children, who runs a business, who is, like, there's so many different moving parts of what we do versus the overall movement. And I'm not by any means insulting the movement, but what I'm saying is these are everyday women, ordinary women who do extraordinary things, and their voices were never heard. They were never heard. And that irks me. So that is another part of being a warrior and standing up and saying, hey, me too over here. And no, I don't have $40 million in the bank, and I'm not walking around with the hashtag on my forehead, but me too, buddy. So if you're going to acknowledge one and you're going to support one organization, well, then support them all, because there's a lot. And this goes further than the United States of America. This goes further than, this is a worldwide issue. So if we're going to jump on this bandwagon of Me Too, then let's focus on the global level. And let's like, being a warrior means we're pushing for stricter laws. We're pushing for punishments of, who gets away to get on probation. Like, if you are accused and proven guilty in a court of law that you've done something, and you are, even if your name is even mixed in with that type of a crime, then something's wrong. That's a red flag in itself. So let's dig deeper and really focus on what's at hand. And it's that there are no real strict punishments. A lot of these people get away with it because they're family. And statistics say most people who are abused, it's from someone they know. Whether it's someone who stalked them, or if it's someone in their family, if it's someone in the workplace, in the church, it is a thing. Not all good people go to church, so these types of conversations need to be happening everywhere. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's a shitty thing to have to talk about. But if we don't speak up, then we're not warriors. We go back into survive mode. So the difference between the two is, now we've risen up, we're healing, we're living, and now we're standing up for others who may be afraid to do the same. So that's kind of my little what a warrior is. You know, I'm all about the throat punching and all of that, but reality is this. You know, men are stronger. They might overpower someone. You know, not everyone has that process of I'm going to punch you in the throat. Before you know what's happening, it's too late. You know, I mean, I feel it. I want to go punch mine in the throat, but you know, it's deeper than that. It's really understanding the advocacy side. It's understanding that with education, with awareness, with the advocacy, with people really stepping up and everyone doing their part, we would see less and less of this, because those people who want to do those things would be afraid to get caught. If there's the awareness, if the punishments are stricter, if they're held accountable. And mine never were. And that's a hard pill to swallow. So I say being a warrior is standing up no matter what and never backing down. That's my version. So my next question is, and this will be the last one, excuse me. When we're talking about, you know, we have this author celebration coming up for this book, and it's so hard to put celebration with this title. But I think when we go to that celebration, which I believe is Friday or Thursday, I could be wrong, but
Thursday.
when we talk about the celebration, I know for me, I'm going to celebrate the fact that this book came out, because behind the scenes, we kept getting told no. The sensitivity of the book, we kept getting told, no, you need to revise this. You need to revise that. They pushed our actual launch date back with, you need to change this. You can't say this. And my question is, why? 50 Shades of Grey is out there. There's so many different things out there. This is reality. This is real life stuff. So why do we have to hush our voices? Oh, well, some of the content is too explicit. You're right, it is. But so is that 50 Shades of Grey shit. You're actually teaching men to treat women differently. You know, this could be a very controversial piece. But if you're exploiting sex to make it look like that, where do you think the perpetrators get the ideas from? So I say, fuck your policies on you can't put my book out there. And if you don't like what we write, if you don't want to know about it, hear about it, see about it, don't read the fucking book. But if you feel inclined to stand up, step forward, and kick that sexual assault to the curb, then this book is for you. So I will be celebrating for our voices, for our stories to be out there, and for us to continue to change the way that this world sees sexual abuse and how things are handled. No one needs to be silent. No one does. And as long as in my power on this platform, there will not be hush hush here. It just won't happen. So that's what I'm celebrating. So my question was going to be, what will each of you be celebrating that day? I love Nicole's face. She's didn't see that one coming, huh? So who wants to go first? Let's do Madison. Oh, let's do Jamie. Go ahead.
I'm celebrating that we are the change that I want to see in this world. And I love every single thing that you said, Hannah, and I second that. And you know, we have to come to a point that we have to set the standards. We are the creators of what is going to be acceptable and not acceptable. And who made the standards before us? Who made it? You know what I call it? I call it generational telephone. It's all, oh, you can't do this. And oh, you know, get in the closet. And oh, I mean, some of the stories that I heard my own family had, I mean, my great grandmother was literally promised to her father's best friend. And he didn't even want her. He wanted the sister. Like, she was 18. Her kids or his kids were 30 something years old. That's some sick shit. I mean, and I come from a very long, very strong women, but I mean, I'm hearing some of this stuff and I'm like, are you serious? Do and that was standard. It was standard that women, were married at 12 years old, at 14 years old. That's on my mom's side of the family. There are so many things. And I'm like, I know that we came into this. I know I came here to put a stop to this shit because it stops. We have to make a future for our children, and we need to make the change so that no more do we have to go for this shit. Why is it okay that this is silent? It should be okay for people to say this. It affects too many people, and not just women. It affects the transgender, the whole LGBT community, men. There are men being raped right now in our own military. Yeah, I mean, do you think people don't lose their shit being stationed 18 months in the desert? I just sat back on a plane with somebody that is literally still serving 5 more years. I mean, we live in a world, I don't know if anybody knows this, where our arms are hand in hand, where there is sexual assault of what they call chai boys. Now I'm really doing some controversial shit, but you know what? Let's just lay it out. Where women are not allowed to dance, but they let little boys dance that dress like women or mask on their face. And then that military, they're able, not our military in America, but they are literally on the side of ours, and they're able to use these children that are 12 and 14-year-old boys for literally a sex slave. And we're not allowed to do anything about it. Well, why? What is more honorable than literally saving children from being sexually assaulted? I mean, I said it. I looked it up. There's a special forces soldier that actually did a report about that in the New York Times. So anyone can go look that up. And yes, it's supposed to be illegal, but no one's stopping it. Look at all the stuff that just came out about, the whole, like, we know, what is it? Even Bill Clinton, right? Like, and all the other people, they're on the list that they ended up finding out. And I don't like getting into politics and shit, but this isn't politics. This is facts that they're finding out on the list. People that are reputable, that are literally have been on lists with all of these other children going to these secret places. And it's sick. It's like, I think of movies like Eyes Wide Shut. That shit really goes on. It is. It's sad. I don't know how it does. I don't know, and it stays that way. It stays that way when we keep this kind of shit in the shadows and we don't talk about it. Black Lives Matter came out because there is some really racial shit that is still going on. There still is inequality. There is inequality for race, and there is inequality for gender. And there definitely is inequality for women still. So I know I went on a little rampage. Sorry, got a little bit passionate there. But yeah. So I'm celebrating that we are putting a stop to all that shit and then some. So we're bringing it into the light, and it's no longer in the shadow. So, and I'm very honored to be with each and every one of you and our sisters that cannot be with us on this panel tonight. I'm done.
How about you, Isabel?
All right, Jamie. You go, girl. I am celebrating. There's a lot of things to celebrate here. First off and foremost, I've had a lot of people reach out and share their experiences with me and their stories. And to me, it was like, if I could touch one person, I have done my job. Okay, I've fulfilled my purpose. And I have received multiple, sadly, okay, that breaks my heart, to be honest, because it's sad that this is normal, because it's not, but I've received multiple ladies that have come out and have shared their experiences with me. They have trusted me to be that safe place for them to share their experience with me for whatever reason, and that to me is a huge triumph. I think getting out there, speaking out, sharing our stories, making this movement, this it's a triumph, and it's worth celebrating big time, you know. And aside from that, you know, it was something that, like, coming in, writing my story in this book was something that was like, okay, is this something that I really want to do? I don't know, and then when I did, then it was like, it was too much. I had to minimize my story by a lot, and so I don't talk about this, but, you know, in talking to these ladies that have reached out to me, I have gotten a few to accept Jesus Christ as their savior. And that to me is so huge, because that's where my healing is really at, and so that is worth celebrating even more, so that is what I will be celebrating with all of you beautiful women, is that.
I'll go. You ladies are awesome. For me, I'm celebrating a few things. I'm just gonna say that I'm very proud of myself, first and foremost, for giving myself that permission to speak my truth and share my message, and writing a chapter and reliving things, and obviously for a purpose of wanting, like what Isabel was saying, just to help one life. But like Hannah said too, it's not easy to talk about this. It's not easy to relive some of the things that we've experienced and what we've gone through. And so for me, it was hard for me to write the chapter of acknowledging, knowing that it happened, the things that I've had to overcome, the continuous, relentless getting up and keep moving forward, and the personal growth, and just all of that. So writing the chapter for me is something that I'm celebrating, but I've shared my story quite a few times. But being able to be part of this book, being able to do it with a group of wonderful women such as yourselves, and knowing that I'm not alone, and I'm doing it with a sisterhood of other women that want to advocate, want to help people heal, want to be that help be that awareness. I'm celebrating us really just planting our flag. And when the book released, we changed history. It wasn't just, the Me Too movement. It wasn't just the Me Too. It wasn't just the But Never Again. We changed history because it's 10 women from all over the world, literally, that wrote in this book that said, Me Too, but never again. We're not going to just stay in our own circumstances, stories. We're going to share what we've gone through, and we're doing it as one. We're doing it unified. And so for me, on Thursday, when we do our celebration, it's at 4 p.m. Pacific time for any of you watching that want to attend. We'd love to have you. But yeah, so celebrating for me is doing it, writing in it, becoming part of it, letting my voice be louder, my message be more clear, and celebrating it with other women, knowing that this is literally just the beginning. We've just started. And yeah, there's some fear in that, but we just started, and I'm celebrating where we're going. So.
And then I'll jump on real quick. I just want to say real quickly, for the people that tried to push our book release date, well, they did, but you think our book's explicit, try going through it. So that's all I have to say about that. Anyways, actually, no, that's a lie. I have a lot more to say, but I won't. We are running out of time. I will be celebrating with all of these beautiful women on Thursday a guidebook of what we have written all together of how not to be a man. This is how not to be a human. And we hope this serves as an educational purpose for people out there raising your sons, raising your daughters, to not be perpetrators, to not be these kind of people who think that they can take away somebody's future or somebody's happiness or anything that they feel like is owed to them. And so I pray that this book serves as that for everybody. And personally, that's what I'll be celebrating on Thursday with all these wonderful ladies. Thanks, guys.
And I think for me, I'll be celebrating not just writing it with all of you, but I think I really wanted to advocate for it because we had a situation back in March in Australia where a lot of the different models across the fashion industry had started complaining about sexual assault, and they weren't actually being heard and everything. So we put a petition towards the government, which didn't get enough support to actually make legislation, changes, because people were having literally concerns. But you can literally go through, we've got like all different Facebook groups across the state, and it was across the country for the models. But it was like in every, if you scroll through all of them, they literally have issues concerning sexual assault literally every single year, and nothing was being done. And then it wasn't until a friend, she said, oh, this and this happened, and it actually went to court, but I don't know exactly what the results were because they were still waiting for it. But yeah, I think it was just really good to even be a part of this book and really try to advocate for that, to say that it is a worldwide situation and that it should definitely be stopped and looked into further, being legislated.
I would say, one thing for people to take into consideration, those who are watching today, those who are going to watch the replay, it is very hard to come on this panel and come up live and share what we've shared with you. And it's hard to relive the moments over and over and speak about the topic. But what's harder is to look the other direction and allow it to continue to happen to others. And that is the Me Too, but never again. That is being a warrior. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining tonight, for taking time out to come on here and share. And I hope that everyone gets this book, because it's, as statistics say, it's 1 out of 3. So that means somebody. And this book might just be the book to help them. This book might be the roadway to healing and to living and to thrive, to leave the survival and actually start to thrive and be that warrior too. So thank you, ladies, for being here. We will see you at the celebration. And if you haven't gotten the book, get the book, and help us get to an international level of advocacy. And that can only be done by everyone sharing and being a part of the Me Too, but never again. Good night, everyone. Thank you.